Ever wondered why weeds are the bane of every gardener's existence? Let's delve into the world of weeds to understand these unwanted guests a bit better. Weeds are essentially plants that have mastered survival in tough conditions. Their secret? Rapid growth and a high rate of reproduction. Some weeds can produce thousands of seeds from a single plant, spreading like wildfire across your garden. But it's not just their numbers that are problematic. Weeds are the ultimate resource hogs, greedily consuming water, nutrients, and sunlight that your garden plants need to thrive. They're like the rowdy party guests who eat all the food and leave nothing for anyone else. Weeds come in many shapes and sizes, but they all share a common goal: survival at any cost. From the tiny yet tenacious dandelion to the towering and invasive kudzu vine, each weed has its unique strategies for taking over your garden. Now you might be thinking, aren't they just plants growing in the wrong place? Well, yes, but they're more than that. Weeds are invaders poised to take over your garden. They're like the villains in a superhero movie, always plotting and scheming to overthrow the order. So the next time you see a weed sprouting in your garden, remember it's not just a plant, it's a formidable foe, armed and ready for battle. And that's why understanding weeds is the first step in winning the war against them. Weeds are not just plants in the wrong place. They are invaders, poised to take over your garden. Prevention is the best cure, especially when it comes to weed control. Controlling weeds starts well before they even sprout. Yes, you heard it right. It's all about outsmarting those pesky plants. The first step is strategic garden planning. By carefully selecting and positioning your plants, you can minimize the available space for weeds to grow. It's like throwing a fantastic garden party but forgetting to invite the weeds. Now let's talk about soil health, the unsung hero of weed prevention. Healthy soil is not just good for your plants, it's a nightmare for weeds. Enriching your soil with organic matter improves its structure, making it harder for weed seeds to take root. It's a bit like preparing a guest room for visitors but making the bed so uncomfortable that no one wants to stay. But what about already existing weed seeds in the soil? I'm glad you asked. This is where mulching comes in. Mulching is like placing a doormat at the entrance of your garden that says, "Weeds not welcome here." A good layer of mulch blocks sunlight, preventing weed seeds from germinating. It's a simple yet effective method of keeping your garden weed-free. And don't forget about ground covers. These low-growing plants are your garden's bodyguards, shielding the soil from weed invasion. By covering the ground, they block weeds from getting the sunlight they crave. It's like throwing shade in the most literal sense. Of course, let's not forget about regular maintenance. Keeping your garden clean and free from debris can also help prevent weed growth. It's like keeping your house tidy to avoid unwelcome pests. In essence, weed prevention is all about denying weeds the conditions they need to thrive. It's a battle of wits, and with these strategies, you're well equipped to win. Remember, every weed prevented is one less weed you'll have to pull later. So invest time in these preventative measures and keep your garden a weed-free sanctuary. Armed with these preventive strategies, you can stop weeds before they start. Sometimes the best way to deal with weeds is to get your hands dirty. And in the world of gardening, that means mechanical and physical removal. This method is highly effective, especially for smaller gardens or isolated weed patches. Plus, it's environmentally friendly, requiring no chemicals or special treatments. Now the first tool you're going to need is a good old-fashioned garden hoe. This is perfect for removing weeds from the surface. You just slide it under the weed and gently lift. The weed should pop right out, roots and all. Remember, it's crucial to remove the entire root system to prevent the weed from growing back. For those stubborn, deep-rooted weeds, a weeding fork is your best friend. Its sharp, sturdy tines can dig deep into the soil, helping to loosen and extract the entire weed. But what about those tiny weeds sprouting between your paving stones or bricks? That's where a patio knife or weeding knife comes in handy. Its sharp, pointed edge is perfect for reaching into those narrow spaces and removing the weed, root and all. If you're dealing with a larger area or many weeds, you might want to consider a stand-up weeder. This tool allows you to remove weeds without bending over, saving your back and making the process much more efficient. Don't forget to take advantage of nature's own weed suppressors, your plants. Planting densely can help crowd out potential weeds and reduce their chances of taking root. Now, after you've removed the weeds, it's important to dispose of them properly. Never put them in your compost pile, as the seeds can survive and spread when you use the compost. Instead, put them in your green waste bin or a dedicated weed disposal bag. It's also a good idea to mulch the area after weeding. Mulch not only helps retain soil moisture and regulate temperature, but it also blocks light from reaching weed seeds, preventing them from germinating. Mechanical and physical removal might require a bit of elbow grease, but the satisfaction of seeing a weed-free garden is well worth it. With these tools and techniques, you can reclaim your garden from the clutches of weeds. When weeds get tough, the tough get chemical. Yes, sometimes, despite our best efforts, weeds can still overrun our gardens. That's when chemical control steps in. But not all chemical treatments are created equal, and it's crucial to prioritize eco-friendly options whenever possible. Chemical weed control comes in many forms, from selective herbicides that target specific weed species to non-selective ones that kill any plant they touch. Remember, the goal is to eliminate weeds, not the plants you love. But how do you apply these chemical treatments? Typically, they come in a spray form. You'll want to coat the leaves of the weed, which allows the herbicide to penetrate the plant and kill it from within. But be careful not to overspray, as this can harm desirable plants and beneficial insects. Now, safety is paramount when dealing with chemicals. Always wear protective clothing, like gloves and goggles, and ensure you're working in a well-ventilated area. Keep these products out of reach of children and pets, and always follow the manufacturer's instructions to the letter. Also, be mindful of the weather. You don't want to spray on a windy day and have the chemicals blow onto plants you didn't intend to treat. And avoid applying herbicides before a rainstorm, as the rain can wash the chemicals off the weeds before they have a chance to work. Chemical control can be a powerful ally in your war against weeds. Used responsibly, it can help restore balance to your garden and give your plants the space they need to thrive. Mother Nature has her own arsenal to combat weeds. It's time we take a leaf from her book and explore organic solutions for weed control. First up, homemade herbicides. You'd be amazed at what common household items can do. A mixture of white vinegar, dish soap, and a pinch of salt can create an effective weed killer. Yet remember, this potent concoction doesn't discriminate between your prized roses and pesky intruders, so apply it carefully. Next, let's talk about cornmeal. It's not just a staple in your kitchen but can also stop weed seeds from germinating. Sprinkle it around your garden and you'll see a significant reduction in new weed growth. The power of plants should not be underestimated either. Some plants, such as marigolds, produce natural chemicals that deter weeds. Planting them in your garden can create a living, breathing barrier against weed invasion. And let's not forget mulching. Organic mulch like straw, grass clippings, or wood chips can suppress weed growth while enriching your soil as they decompose. It's a win-win situation for your garden. Lastly, the humble boiling water. Yes, it's as simple as it sounds. Pouring boiling water directly onto weeds can kill them right down to the roots. A word of caution though, this method is best suited for driveways or walkways where you don't risk harming desirable plants. These natural solutions not only control weeds but also care for your garden. The battle against weeds is a continuous one. It's not a one-and-done kind of deal. Regular garden monitoring is crucial in catching those pesky invaders early. Integrated weed management is your best friend in this fight. This means using a combination of preventive measures, mechanical removal, chemical control, and natural solutions. Keep your soil healthy, use mulch, and don't shy away from pulling out weeds manually. With regular monitoring and maintenance, your garden will remain a weed-free paradise. Weeds might be tough, but they're not invincible. From understanding their nature to implementing preventative measures, every strategy matters. Mechanical removal, chemical control, or organic solutions, choose your weapon. Remember, the war against weeds is won through regular monitoring and maintenance. This journey might seem daunting, but the reward is a lush, weed-free garden. So, equip yourself with these expert techniques and declare war on those pesky invaders. Take action today and transform your garden from a weed jungle into a weed-free oasis.